Virtual reality hell that is soon going to be unleashed upon humanity. It is one that many people are not paying a close eye to. I apologize for my crazy sounding voice. I'm recovering. I have a little bit of a cold here. I sound like the Puerto Rican Barry White, but we'll get through the video. But as you take a scope of what is happening politically, China versus Russia versus America, America versus this, just the world turmoil. Make no mistake about it. And as you go day by day, you're ignoring the advances in technologies that are happening all around you. If you look around you right now at work, or if you're watching this at home, most of your kids, they're on their tablet, they're on their phone. Most of your co-workers are on their phone. You go to a park, most people are on their phones, or they have something plugged into their ears. They have a phone on their watches where they can keep track of everything. Slowly but surely, we've become merged with the machine in a way that has become way too acceptable to humanity.
And
but that billions of people with enhanced cognitive ability, radically enhanced.
Yes.
And which would be, how much different than people today? Like if you had to explain it to a person who didn't really understand what you were saying, like how much different are you talking about? When you say radically improved, like what do you mean? You mean mind reading?
It would be difficult to really appreciate the difference. It's kind of like, how much smarter are you with a phone or computer than without? You're vastly smarter, actually. You can answer any question. If you're connected to the internet, you can answer any question pretty much instantly. Any calculation, your phone's memory is essentially perfect. You can remember flawlessly. Your phone can remember videos, pictures, everything perfectly. Your phone is already an extension of you. You're already a cyborg. Most people don't realize they are already a cyborg. That phone is an extension of yourself. It's just that the data rate, the rate at which, or the communication rate between you and the cybernetic extension of yourself that is your phone and computer is slow. It's very slow. And that is like a tiny straw of information flow between your biological self and your digital self. And we need to make that tiny straw like a giant river, huge, high bandwidth interface. It's an interface problem, data rate problem. Solve the data rate problem, then I think we can hang on to human-machine symbiosis through the long term. And then people may decide that they want to retain their biological self or not. I think they'll probably choose to retain their biological self.
Versus some sort of Ray Kurzweil scenario where they download themselves into a computer?
You will be essentially snapshotted into a computer at any time. If your biological self dies, you could probably just upload into a new unit. Literally.
Pass that whiskey. We're getting crazy over here. This is getting ridiculous.
Down the rabbit hole.
Thousands of people in Sweden get microchip implants for a new way of life. It's becoming a popular trend where one takes it to the next step the next quote-unquote evolutionary step of uniting the machine with the human. But what exactly is the human? You see, I come from a biblical perspective. In Genesis 1:27, so God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. So we are a unique creation. To this day, scientists cannot figure out the brain. They study the brain. They try to manipulate the brain. But they are in awe of the brain. For God's creation is amazing. But in order to get you to accept the virtual reality prison that is about to be unleashed on earth, they have to talk down against God's creation, and they have to convince you that you're nothing more than a Neanderthal, that you're nothing more than a descendant from an ape, that you're nothing more than an accident, a simple accident that needs to be hacked, that needs to be modified, so that you can become as your own God.
Neural lace. In essence, neural lace is an ultra-thin mesh that is implanted into the skull and forms a body of electrodes which are able to monitor brain function. It's not entirely clear at this time how far along the technology is in its development phase, but eventually, neural lace should enable humans to upload or download information directly from a computer, just like Neo from the Matrix. In a matter of minutes, you too could proclaim, "I know Kung Fu."
Show me.
In order to insert neural lace, a tiny needle which contains a rolled up mesh is placed inside the skull, whereby the mesh is then injected. The mesh unravels upon injection, encompassing the brain. Gradually, the neural lace will integrate itself with the human brain, creating the perfect symbiosis between man and machine. So far, neural lace has been tested on live mice. Upon autopsy, researchers found little negative consequences associated with the insertion of this mesh-like structure. This technology sounds amazing. The ability to hook our brains up with machines and thereby enhance human intelligence could open up whole new worlds of possibilities for our species. It could even be the catalyst for the almost mythical technological singularity.
And we live in that type of a society where people, if you look at Snapchat filters, for example, there are people that are addicted to Snapchat filters because it gives them an appearance that they actually want because of the world that we live in. Vanity has caused a lot of that. In Facebook, everyone's posting everything about their lives on Facebook. And I was talking to a good coworker of mine about this, a good friend, about how when you look in the online world, what you see is most of it is fake. I mean, even in the employment section, when you get an instant message from someone and you look at the image of who's sending it to you, the image looks amazing. And you think to yourself, that person looks nothing like that, right? Because of Photoshop and filters and this and that and the other. And it's a vanity-filled society. A lot of men in themselves, they prefer to immerse themselves in the online world rather than live in the reality of this world. And this is slowly but surely conforming people into the system. Because a lot of people would much rather live in a virtual world than live in the real world.
It's still a relatively new area, but neurogaming is growing. The world's first cybathlon took place late last year. The event saw people with physical disabilities compete with the aid of assistive technology, including a brain-computer interface race. And the organisers think there's potential to take things a step further.
At the moment, these neurogames and brain-computer interfaces allow just a limited number of commands. This performance can be improved in the future by implanting the devices, but then of course we have the problem of safety and ethical issues.
There used to be a time where marriage was between a man and a woman. There used to be a time where If you were a man and you had to go urinate, you would go to the men's restroom. No. All of that's changed. Genders in itself are now considered offensive. Age in itself, to some people, if you tell them what's your age, they will tell you that's offensive.
I think I'm weird because that I feel very like genderless, I feel ageless, I feel like I'm just like spirit.
In some states, they will tell you that they'll mark the gender with an X. Why? Because you're discriminating with the gender. You're discriminating with the age. If someone wakes up one day and wants to be Peter Pan, you know they're not Peter Pan. But because they say they're Peter Pan, even though you're in the right, you're discriminating, according to some people. These are seducing spirits. And this has slowly indoctrinated people into the next stage. Here we have something called Humping Harry, and he is for sale. He is the first sex robot for women, and he is launched with a complete customizable penis. Even Brad Pitt's chiseled torso he has on him. That's pretty crazy. They already had these for men. A lot of men are ditching women nowadays and going with a robot. But now we have Humping Harry on the market as well. And people are loving this stuff. People are marrying robots. And imagine when all of these technologies in 10 or 15 years are completely blossomed before your very eyes. We're headed down a dangerous path, folks. And as you'll hear throughout this video, understand that these are simply the little steps, the little compromises that are leading to our demise. Wake up.
Japan has a problem with loneliness. Almost 70% of unmarried men and 60% of unmarried women aged 18 to 34 are not in any form of relationship with the opposite sex. This relationship crisis has spurred a multi-million-dollar virtual romance industry which aims to fill the emotional void through technology.
朝ですよ。起きてください。ねえ、起きてってば。おはよう。
おはよう。
あ、今日雨が降るかもしれないから傘持って行って。急がないと遅刻しちゃうよ。
行ってきます。
行ってらっしゃい。気をつけてね。
状況ページ、商品のラインナップについての。
おかえりなさい。
なんかさ、家で誰かが待ってるっていいもんだな。さっき思ったんだ。帰ってくるとき。おやすみ。
おやすみなさい。
Augmented reality. They are slowly but surely taking you from the step of that mobile phone to the next step of actually wearing a glass or wearing some sort of a device that allows you to see everything augmented. Or you can still see the world as you know it, But with augmented reality, you can also see YouTube. You can also see your email. You can also see an Excel sheet. You can work and have fun at the same time.
I don't need the lead to run this, but this is purely so I can project the images onto my laptop so I can demonstrate to you how this works. Okay, let's get ready.
So the first thing I want to show you is how I interact with the HoloLens from a business perspective. So here I'm going to open Excel, and this is directly connected to Office 365. It's a bit difficult to talk and do this at the same time. So here I can access all of my work documents, and I can make this pretty much any size I want to. And I can push it farther away or keep it nice and close. And I can then view all of my documents, files, photos, and access the web. So here you've got Microsoft Edge, and this is my blog. So I've got the scroll tools where I can scroll down and read anything that I want on a web browser. And then you've got these really cool aspects like holograms, which are just so clear and so surreal. Here I've got a Word document. Again, this is using the very clever HoloLens technology where it maps every object in your room, so you can pinpoint and place holograms anywhere. Here you'll see a really cool satellite, and there's a man doing weights here. The drone is real, by the way. The man doing weights is not real. If I forget where things are, I've got this cool labeling system where I can label pretty much anything. So there I've got Cam. Here I've got a YouTube video open on a multiple Microsoft Edge browser. And if I click play, you should see my holiday snaps or holiday video. Now, to put it in perspective, I've got a 60-inch TV in this room, and this is probably about 100 inches. So you can see that you would have thought that at one point we won't need TVs and monitors anymore, because I can have as many monitors, as many TVs as I want, not taking up any space or electricity. What I want to try and get across here is how clear this is. It's so weird that it's right in front of me. It's almost hard to explain that it feels real. It feels like I'm actually looking at a monitor. Now, this next app is so amazing. Kind of hard to put into words again. If I look at something and then click, it will actually map the room. So hopefully you can see this is using all these different colours and shapes to match every item in the room and lay over it. I mean, it's just awesome. So I can click and get different shapes. I can click anywhere in the room.
If it would stop simply at augmented reality, I guess you could say, hey, that could help a lot of people. But it doesn't stop there. The experiments that are being conducted on humans right now, on animals right now, are pretty demonic in nature. This is not science. This is occultism. This is pure witchcraft. It is evil, what they are doing to God's creation.
The seed that we plant in this man's mind will grow into an idea. This idea will define him. It may come to change everything about him.
Movies like Inception, Total Recall, Eternal Sunshine, of course they're possible. If mice had Hollywood, then it's possible in practice right now.
In fact, here at Columbia University, Christine Denny is one of a handful of neuroscientists who can do just that.
It does seem like science fiction, but we are really doing Inception in our lab with turning on and off memories.
It's called optogenetics, a technique so revolutionary it allows us not only to map a specific memory, but manipulate it with lasers. At least in these little guys. These mice might not look so special.
You could not tell my mice apart from a mouse on the street or wherever you go to a pet store and buy a mouse. They don't look any different.
But they are. These are genetically modified mice that allow Denny to record specific memories and turn them on and off at will. To demonstrate, she starts by putting a mouse in a new environment.
You can see that the mouse is just sitting here in the corner freezing. basically scared of the environment.
That's because it's bright. There's no place to hide. But the goal isn't to frighten mice. She wants to see if she can override this fear by playing back a happy memory she recorded yesterday.
What we did is labeled a positive memory in the brains of these mice.
Yesterday, this same mouse got to explore the kind of place it naturally likes. Dimly lit, full of soft bedding, with a nice place to hide. And while he was scurrying around, Denny recorded the exact neurons that fired when he made a memory of that pleasant place.
The cells that are labeled here in green, when I turn on the laser, those cells will turn on the memory.
But how? How do you record a specific memory? And how do you get brain cells to respond to light? Here's where the sci-fi wizardry comes in.
We genetically engineered mice so that we can permanently label an individual memory.
The key is this mouse's special genome. It's bred to carry a piece of DNA from algae that has the code for a light-sensitive protein. In nature, that protein allows the algae to respond to light. In Denny's mice, it just sits there quietly in the mouse's genome, not doing anything, until
when you inject a drug right before you expose them to this positive experience.
The drug switches that gene on, telling any brain cells that fire within the hour to install this light-sensitive protein on their surfaces. As the mouse is exploring a pleasant environment, any neurons that fire will leave a footprint of the memory in the mouse's brain. After the drug wears off, only those cells will respond to light. Meaning,
it's basically like a switch. So what you can then do is use a laser to control these cells.
These tiny fiber optics can shine light directly into the mouse's brain.
What we're going to try to do now is to turn on these cells that we've labeled with a positive memory.
Right now, the mouse is scared. But if Denny is right, the laser should activate the exact same neurons that fired when the mouse was making a happy memory, effectively causing it to relive that positive experience.
Okay, so watch now what happens when I'm going to turn this laser on. You can see that the animal is actually smelling, grooming himself, which is a sign that he feels safe.
But turn the laser off,
and you can see that the animal is resuming its behavior of freezing in the corner.
It's the same lie repackaged and retold. We see the same lie continuously told by Satan. In Genesis 3, we see in verse 5, "For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil." Satan is always continuously attacking God's creation. And Satan's deceptions and Satan's devices will appear good. For in verse 5 it says, "And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and the tree to be desired to make one wise, she took thereof the fruit." And humanity right now is taking part of an evil fruit with technology that is going to imprison you like you have no idea in the coming future.
But I'm not going to let this define my life. Spinal cord injuries are pretty much permanent.
But why accept these limits? Maybe we can come up with an artificial interface.
So we looked at this as an important problem to reanimate the limb of a quadriplegic. 100 years ago, the thought of someone leaving the planet and going to space was crazy. When I broke my neck, the thought of me using a computer to regain use of my body was crazy. And then came that million-dollar question.
Would you like to be able to control this stimulation device with your thoughts?
The basic three components of the NeuroLife system is the chip in the brain and the ability to collect that data, the computer that takes those signals and decodes the intent and then re-encodes those to deliver those to the third part of the system, which is the stimulation system that actually evokes the muscle motions.
As you can see, via technology, they were able now to implant microchips in the brain. And via doing so, they have a lot of different methods. There are brain surgeries that they can conduct. But there are also implantable meshes like Elon Musk and Neuralace that he is developing. That these meshes can go into your brain, interact with your brain, send information of your brain, upload information from your brain, and they will sell you the benefits. Several years back, they were able to actually implant a microchip in an ape. And guess what happened? This ape had a problem with his back. He was not able to walk. They were able to make it walk with technology.
Just a few days earlier, this monkey was partially paralyzed, but wireless technology transformed its ability to move. The result of a project by a group of international scientists who were able to bypass the injured part of the animal's spine.
To decode the brain activity is not really new. To stimulate the spinal cord is not really new either, but the association of both and to make the link between the decoding of the brain and the stimulation of the spinal cord and to make this communication exist is completely new.
If you have an injury of the spinal cord, messages from the brain aren't able to reach beyond it down the nervous system, resulting in paralysis. Scientists created a brain-spinal interface on a monkey with a paralyzed leg, implanting electrodes onto part of the brain that controlled the limb. The activity and information it recorded showed the movement the monkey intended to make and was sent to a computer, which was able to send messages to the wireless implant in the monkey's spine below the injury, stimulating the nerves, allowing it to move.
It's the same type of thing repackaged. They sell you the benefits so that way they can allow you to fund their investigations. But what they're doing really is finding out ways that they can manipulate the brain. And today they'll manipulate the brain so that you can walk. But tomorrow, what will they manipulate the brain for you to do? In the case of them being able to manipulate the brain, something so simple, by implanting to you memories that aren't real via manipulation.
Human memory is unreliable enough as it is, but researchers interested in better understanding how and where our memories are stored are developing new ways to manipulate them. The search for memory engrams, a collection of identifiable neurons that physically represent a memory, has occupied scientists for over 100 years. Turns out memory is a complex process that involves several brain areas. We know that when your brain makes a memory, physical changes and a strengthening of connections between neurons encode the information so that you can remember it. The complete network of these neuronal changes is what we now identify as an engram, or memory. Once scientists learned how and where memory was stored, they wanted to know if they could manipulate it. So, good news for your memory of that painful breakup, teams of researchers have demonstrated that emotionally important memories can actually be removed in mice. It's not full eternal sunshine of the spotless mind for mice, but we're getting there. In one study, researchers eliminated a set of cells in part of the brain's emotional processing center, the amygdala, and were able to erase a specific fear-associated memory of receiving an electric shock. In other studies, scientists were able to use optogenetics to implant a memory of pain and fear into mice by activating an engram of one place when the mouse was actually in another. First, they created memory of safety by placing a genetically modified mouse in a new cage and letting it enjoy its experience. Then they placed the mouse in another cage and delivered foot shocks that they did not enjoy, while stimulating neurons that formed the memory of the safe cage at the same time. When the mouse was returned to the safe cage, they exhibited a classic freezing response, which is a mouse's way of showing fear. This told researchers that as they intended, the painful memory of the shock was now incorrectly associated with the previously safe place. New results from experiments with human subjects who had already had electrodes implanted in their brains as a treatment for epilepsy showed that tracking learning efficiency through brainwave monitoring and pairing poor learning predictions with direct electrical stimulation improved memory and recall. This means that the right kind of stimulation could help us remember certain things we would otherwise have forgotten, which could come in handy the next time we need to cram for an exam. Maybe in the future, our ability to manipulate memory will help us remember important information and help us forget painful experiences like those associated with PTSD.
There are studies that demonstrate that they can remove memories. There are studies that indicate that they can implant memories. What AI is able to do is pretty demonic in nature. And what they're having now AI do is actually create its own AI. So they will develop an AI system that will then develop its own little children, if you will, mini little AIs that perform at levels that man cannot create. Google's new AI is better at creating AI than the company's engineers. Google's AI built an AI that outperforms any made by humans. NVIDIA, they had an AI that created a simulation type of a system that can add weather. And this is unsupervised. This is their AI just did it itself without any type of human interaction.
So let's go back to this example. Let's say you want to ask Google to make you a haircut appointment on Tuesday between 10 and noon. What happens is the Google Assistant makes the call seamlessly in the background for you. So what you're going to hear is the Google Assistant actually calling a real salon to schedule the appointment for you. Let's listen.
How can I help you? Hi, I'm calling to book a women's haircut for a client. I'm looking for something on May 3rd. Sure, give me 1 second. Sure, what time are you looking for around? At 12 p.m. We do not have a 12 p.m. available. The closest we have to that is a 1:15. Do you have anything between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m.? Depending on what service she would like. What service is she looking for? Just a woman's haircut for now. Okay, we have a 10 o'clock. 10 a.m. is fine. Okay, what's her first name? The first name is Lisa. Okay, perfect. So I will see Lisa at 10 o'clock on May 3rd. Okay, great. Thanks. Great. Have a great day. Bye.
That was a real call you just heard. The amazing thing is the assistant can actually understand the nuances of conversation. We've been working on this technology for many years. It's called Google Duplex. It brings together all our investments over the years in natural language understanding, deep learning, text-to-speech.
And you have to see the whole package. If they're able to change the weather on an image, for example, and make it so realistic, if AI can get to that point, because Photoshop is one thing that you're doing it, but this is artificial intelligence being manipulated to do the tasks of its designers, and its designers are doing these types of things because Satan is not omnipresent. Only God is omnipresent. Satan is not. But via technology, he is trying to create his own little omnipresence, if you will. But he is defeated. If with technology, they can implant memories, if with technology, they can convince you that you've committed a crime that you haven't committed, they can also edit certain things via the computer system to appear a certain way that they haven't even appeared to be. Not only that, but just like in the films like Minority Report, as AI accelerates, they'll be able to use these types of systems to quote-unquote predict crime before the crime actually happens. And they will program the algorithm to do what its designers wanted to do.
Los Angeles police worked for months to catch Manson and his followers. These days, the LAPD is on an offensive to prevent crime. Its latest weapon is a computer program that can actually predict where crimes will happen. And Justice correspondent Bob Orr has a first look at the results.
In the Foothill Division, north of downtown Los Angeles, police are patrolling the largely working-class neighborhoods with specially marked maps. The small red squares are hot spots, where computers project property crimes are most likely. It's called predictive policing, a program which Captain Sean Malinowski says puts officers on the scene before crimes occur.
Many people thought that this wouldn't happen. I remember when I spoke on China's social score years ago, I had people even that lived in China that said, no, that's not happening. You don't know what you're talking about. And everybody was talking about it. Yeah, this stuff is coming. And guess what? It's coming. By 2020, it's coming. It's actually already here. And with their social score type of a system, what's happening in China, that's going to be worldwide. Don't make no mistake about it. These world governments, they all want their own version of a new world order. And what you're seeing right now with this trade war, and we'll get into it in another video, folks, they're all fighting for something, and it's way bigger than oil and way bigger than the currency. A lot of things are at stake right now, but they all want their own version of a new world order where everything will be tracked. This is not made so that a person who is on a wheelchair can walk. No. There's a bigger goal. Think of the changes in life, folks. There was once upon a time where you paid everything in cash. Never would you have thought that you would have given up that cash. But now you get paid direct deposit. Now some jobs will tell you if you don't have a bank account, you can't get paid. Now people pay with their actual phones at the actual store. And slowly but surely with cryptocurrencies and blockchain, a lot of people are making payments without the actual currency. They're buying a cryptocurrency. Where in the past you had to go through the Federal Reserve, now there is technologies that allow you to just send money like nothing. This is all part of the bigger plan, folks. It is a technological prison that is being built on Earth. You find AI in this International Space Station. It says that they have an International Space Station AI robot. You find even kitchens testing AI so that it can actually cook. Why? Because they're replacing you, the human. Agriculture. There's a lot of people coming from Mexico right now thinking that they can make it big in agriculture right now. They're designing robots that can pick cherries and berries a lot faster than any human can. When you go to McDonald's, how many automated McDonald's stations have not replaced humans? When you go to Walmart, the same thing. You gotta bag your own groceries, scan your own groceries, and all they have is one person there just to make sure you haven't stolen nothing. It has been a slow indoctrination to accept a system, a wicked system. Look at China. They actually have an AI news anchor. An AI news anchor. And these AI news anchors, they don't get tired. No. And we already know that most news anchors are already bought out. And most of them just say what they have to say, what they're told to say. But this is an actual AI interface. Looks human, sounds human, and says exactly what its makers want it to say. Complete control, complete takeover.
I think I might be in trouble. China has developed a virtual anchor to deliver the news. Watch this.
Hello, everyone. I'm an English artificial intelligence anchor. This is my very first day in Xinhua News Agency. My voice and appearance are modeled on Zhang Zhao, a real anchor with Xinhua. The development of the media industry calls for continuous innovation and deep integration with the international advanced technologies.
Well, that was exciting. What do you think? What do you think? Sort of absence of personality, I'd say.
Absolutely. No charisma. And they didn't even pronounce Xinhua correctly.
Whatever you say.
But the point is that they can work tirelessly 24 hours a day. No difficult contract negotiations to go through as well.
No vacations.
No vacations.
And no wonder the scriptures tell us in Romans 12:2, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is good and acceptable and perfect will of God. And the Bible also warns you of imagination, casting down imaginations. There's a war for your mind. There's a battle for your mind on a daily basis. And via these technologies specifically aimed at attacking your mind, selling you the benefit of what could happen to you, of how much better you will be. You will be a better you if you just allow us to put this in your mind. You've had it in your palm of your hand the whole time. Now we'll just take it to the next level and implant it in your mind. Think of video games, how they will be in virtual reality. Virtual worlds that you can live in. There are actually companies selling you virtual worlds right now in the blockchain.
What if you could own the virtual world? Create, develop, and trade without limits. Make genuine connections. And earn real money. Decentraland, a fully immersive platform powered by the blockchain. Buy land. Design your experience and transform the way people see the world. Purchase the first ever virtual real estate. Get started today.
And people buying pieces of virtual land where they eventually dream of living in. It is a deception, folks. It is a deception, folks. Romans 13:14, but put ye on the Lord Jesus Christ, and make not provision for the flesh to fulfill the lust thereof, is all vanity. And their goal is total control, a one world system led by the Antichrist. A system that will completely control you, your family, your household. And the sad part is that the people, they're ready. The people, they're prepared. And the people are brainwashed into accepting this system. I don't know what Revelation 13:17 is, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. But certainly the infrastructure is in place for the Antichrist to be able to fulfill anything of such a manner. Imagine that with a push of a button, you can control everything about you, just like in China, where you buy, where you sell, where your kids go to school, who you can date, where you can eat, where you can sleep, where you can rent. If China can do that right now, imagine on a global scale. Are you ready for the virtual hell that is going to be unleashed? In Matthew 4:8, the devil taking him up into an exceedingly high mountain, and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world, and the glory of them. Satan will sell you the benefits via designer babies. Via designer babies, they're selling you the benefit that parents who aren't able to conceive can have children. 3-parent embryos, they will tell you. They will tell you that they can do this to the DNA with CRISPR, and they can do that to the DNA, and you can have a baby. But do you know that what they're really doing is experiments on you to see how they can manipulate the DNA of man? And who is inspiring this? Satan and his fallen angels. It's demonic. This is not science. This is occult. The good news of us all is that, but within all of what's happening, Satan is defeated. And God has not given us a spirit of fear. The purpose of this video is not to scare you. Nah. It's to make sure that you're prepared. And make sure that you realize and recognize that the deceptions that lie all around us are a lot bigger than what you see on the news media. And in fact, if the news media is focusing on something, you better start focusing on something else, because they're keeping you entertained for a purpose. But what they've slowly but surely prepped humanity for, when that is unleashed, people aren't ready. They aren't ready. When Revelation 16:13 and the 3 unclean spirit-like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, people ain't ready. People ain't ready. I pray that you get ready. I pray that I continue to get ready. In Jesus' name. May God bless you. Thank you for watching. Thanks for taking the time. Consider sharing this video with a friend and or family member, and keep me in prayer. I really need it, and I appreciate your kindness, your support, and for passing by each week. God bless you and your family.